light armor feels as terrible as it does. Now, this this is a disclaimer. I'm going to just honestly delete any comments that have failed to listen to the video this far or watch the entire video. But this is not a excuse or reason why the fights have gone this way or why I wasn't able to beat this player in a fight or anything like that. As I mentioned, Sandal here is a player that I've PvP'd with for a very long time on this server, and he is a very, very good PvPer. So I'm taking nothing away from this player. And on top of that, he is running a setup which we virtually can't win. He's running a heavy sword and shield, defiant stance, greatsword build. So we have to make literally zero mistakes to um, have the fight go the way it's not going to go in these upcoming duels here. But let's take a look at a couple of these fights here. So taking a look at the first fight here, we're going to start with the rapier, try to open up with the skyward slash, and he gets a beautiful shield bash on our way down. I go for a riposte, he dodges, and then I also block with our rapier. So he breaks our guard, and we just make a couple of mistakes, which puts us in a really, really bad spot early. And we're going to be slowed permanently here unless we can make some distance, so we flush away. But he follows up with the leaping strike, and we're at a pretty bad spot. I'm trying to see if I can find an opening to land a stun here. We switch to the rapier and land a beautiful parry on the downward hit of Skyward, but he again lands a beautiful shield bash, and I'm gonna replay the last parts of that fight there. Now, if you take a look at my Calamity counter, we go for the ability after the Steadfast, and it just doesn't use it, puts us on cooldown, which makes us take the heavy, and then we end up having to forced into that lower distance dodge roll and taking that second hit. Now, would the fight have been won had the Calamity actually gone off? Probably not. It might seem small, but we're gonna take a look at a couple of examples just so you guys can get a real idea of what I'm trying to get across here. Now, taking a look at the second fight, we're gonna go ahead and see if we can make a little bit less mistakes than last fight. But shield bash is something that I'm gonna be looking out for this time. We get it out immediately out of the fight, so we go for the skyward knowing that we're safe, and then we kind of just go for an exchange. Now, right away, the Faultless Defender perk on Greatsword is supposed to reduce the block stamina damage you take by 50%. Um, so not only that, but Greatsword only has 68 block stamina damage. So the Greatsword does more block stamina damage than it's supposed to do, and our perk doesn't work. Our main defensive perks, and we are immediately put on the back foot. But jumping back into the fight, we find ourselves back in here after using a potion and making a little bit of distance, and we're gonna primarily go ahead and try to find the shield bash again. With the shield bash out, we go on the offensive, we land the skyward slash, put the Rens out, land a beautiful parry in for the first time we get him low in the fight. Try to follow up if we can to see if we can close out the kill, but he lands a beautiful steadfast, which stops us on our track here. We time the Calamity counter well, but our perk again does not work as our stamina gets broken there. And with no life left, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the last couple of sequences there. So again, Faultless Defender reduces your stamina damage taken from hits by half. Greatsword has 68 stamina damage, meaning or block stamina damage, and at 45 stamina we get guard broken, which means our perk just didn't work. On top of that, after we make our way out of that fight with the flesh, we actually just timed the parry correctly there, and then just get shield broken or shield bashed anyways. So literally in one fight, all of our defensive options did not work there. Our riposte did not work, our calamity counter, and our faultless defender just did not function. And as I mentioned, with every single weapon doing as much damage as it does now, with fights happening like this, I think that's the thing that has been making light armor feel so bad. And I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but to survive in light armor, you need to properly play your defensive cooldowns. And if at its core the abilities themselves are just not working the way they're supposed to, um, that is probably a pretty big reason as to why light armor feels like you can just die to everything. Now, once again, this is not to diminish anything from the player that we're fighting. The very next fight, seemingly everything seems to be working fine, and we still lose the fight. So again, this is not to say that this player wouldn't have beat us in this fight, regardless. We're fighting a very good player against our straight up counter, but the thing that makes it frustrating is that it's not like the game consistently feels bad. It'll feel good for a fight or two. Randomly in the middle of a fight, it'll feel like what I've been showing you in the video. And I'm not exactly sure what to put it on as to be the culprit of this issue. Now, I this is not to say that light armor feels the same or doesn't feel or hasn't felt any nerfs. It's definitely been nerfed, but to kind of prove a point, but not really, because the only fight that I ended up winning here was the one where his food ran out. But um, I've been playing against a majority of players, and when the fight or when PvP feels good, there's no lag, and the abilities are functioning as they should, um, then I feel that light armor is still viable, but it needs to be a consistent experience because lag is the number one killer of like any PvP game, and with a game as fast paced and as critical as New World's PvP is, if there's any sort of lag or kind of like trickery going on with the abilities as there's been going on since the patches dropped, then um, PvP is not going to feel fun. So yeah, that's what I've been finding. If you've made it through the entire video, you're a real one, and I always appreciate you guys. But I hope this video does give a little bit of insight into light armor. I don't think it's necessarily dead yet, but it definitely will need some work. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching.
How's it going, boys? The Dragon is back, and we're back at it again with another video. This one is going to be one that everybody's been asking for in the stream, in Discord, in real life. My wife asked about this, and they all ask, "Hey, yo, Trick, what hard rune should I be using?" But that question also comes with like, "Hey, Trick, what hard rune should I be using with Sword and Shield, or which hard rune should I be using with Void Gauntlet?" Or which hard rune should I be using as a mage, right? So since there are so many classes combinations out there and so many weapons combination, there's like more than 30. I'm not going to cover every single one of this weapons combination. Instead, I'm going to approach this as roles, right? Like if you're a mage, if you are a healer, a range DPS, bruiser, tank, assassin, etc. You get what I'm saying. Now, at the end of the day, I still recommend that you guys gather them all, right? Just gather them all, catch them all like the Pokemons, because eventually your playstyle will change, the situation will change. If you're inside of arena, you can switch between rounds. If you're in an OPR, you can switch at any given time as long as you're in auto combat. If you're in war, you die, you're back in the tent, you can switch. You can switch them out in the open world inside of a mutation. Inside of a mutation, if you're a healer and you see that your team, can handle themselves, you can even put yourself a detonate and just help your teams without increasing damage, right? So all of these hard runes have an insane versatility, and everybody should have every single one of them. I understand that it's a little bit hard to get all 15 of them, the three variation for every single one of the rooms. So what I want you guys to do is at least pick one, right? Pick one like a favorite of the three that that they're given to you, and then go with that one. and get your favorite one for all 5 of them. And then in the future, start, as you're changing your build, as you're changing your playstyle, start getting the other ones. But yes, at the end of the road, I want you guys to have all 15 of them. They don't weigh anything. They're like 0.1 pound each one of them. So even if you have all 15 of them, it's gonna be no weight whatsoever. But they are very powerful in their own ways, and I still recommend that you guys get all of them. But without any further ado, let's jump right into this. That way, you guys have a better understanding on which hard rune should you be focusing first, or which one is the right one for you. But anyways, here we go. So the first one that we're going to talk about, and is my all-time favorite, is going to be the Stoneform. All right, the Stoneform, I think it has, out of every single one of the other hard runes, it is the one with the most versatility. Why? Well, because the Stormform is just good in every single way, right? It has that CC immunity which no other rune in the game has, and especially with how many CCs we got. This is the one thing that not only it removes those CCs that is on top of us, but it also grants us immunity for the next 5 seconds, right? Why am I saying that this one for me is the best one out of every single one of the other one? Is because it does not rely on the enemy player, meaning that if you try to use Dark Ascent, for example, and the enemy dodges or just runs away, that is just a wasted ability. The same thing with Grasping Vine, the same thing with Detonate or the Cannon. All of these abilities are used to be able to connect against the enemy. If you don't hit the enemy, they basically useless. You didn't get anything out of it. But with the Stormform, right? The Stormform is something that you use whenever you find the right occasion. And regardless if the enemy is close or far from you, you can use it and still get some use out of it. And the one that I recommend the most as the number one that you guys should be getting if you're focusing PvP and even PvE, but is this one right here, the Mending Form. It heals you for 75% of the hard rune damage per second while active. Now, I understand that your damage is reduced by 20%, but it doesn't really matter because this one, it's basically a wild trinket. Like I said, it removes all of the CCs, it makes you immune to them, and on top of that, it gives you a bunch of healings and 10% damage reduction. Now, you can use this also on top of the Sacred Ground and will heal you for even more, right? The Sacred Ground adds to this healing. But if you're fighting an enemy and you are about to get CC, or even if you get CC, you can pop this one on, boom, get rid of the CC and continue the fight. If you are about 20, 30, or even 10% HP, you can pop this one and get all of that HP back, be immune to CC, and always be on top of the fight. And like I said, regardless of when or how you use this one is like never used wrong, as long as obviously you don't waste it, right? Whenever you're like full HP and the enemy's not attacking you. But here, I'm gonna show you guys how much you actually heal yourself from this rune. I'm going to take my life away with the Void Gauntlet so I can give you guys an example of how much health you can get out of this one. It's basically an extra mega regen potion. So you can use your health potion, you can use your regen potions. If both of those are on cooldown and you're about to die or you're dying, you can go ahead and just pop this bad boy and look at that healing, boys. It's basically 900 healing for every tick, for 5 seconds. It took me all the way from 5% to almost 90%. Obviously, that is, outside of the Sacred Ground. And if you want to combine it with like a hearty meal to get all of your full, all of your HP back, or a regenerating potion, that is pretty awesome. Plus, the good thing about this hard rune is that you can use him under any animation. For an instance, if you're using a potion, right? If you're drinking a potion, you can use that hard rune in the middle of the potion animation. So this is what I was saying. While you're drinking the potion, you can use the Stormform, because the Stormform supersedes any type of animation that you're using. If you are in the ground, if you are CC'd, if you're in the middle of putting the pylon down, if you're in the middle of burnout, literally any sort of animation that you are under, you can still use this bad boy and heal yourself all the way up to full. So this one is the one that I recommend for whatever class you are. If you're a healer, this one is going to be your get out of jail free card, right? So you're gonna keep this one, like let's say that you have it at full and you're gonna keep it there. You're not really going to use this one. If your potions are now on cooldown, and you are getting attacked by the enemy, you can pop this bad boy. Like I say, you will be immune to all sorts of CC, meaning that you can put a Sacred Ground on your feet, pop this thing on, and get your HP all the way back to full. Because out of the Sacred Ground, it heals you for 900. On the Sacred Ground, it heals you for 1400. Right? It's an insane amount of HP that you're getting. If you pop this and use top of the Sacred Ground, not only you get that 10% damage reduction, you get that extra healing from the Sacred Ground, but you're immune to all OCC, so you're basically impossible to kill. If you are an assassin, this one, it will also have its places. Like, let's say that you're 1v2 in people, and you get CC, and since you're an assassin, you don't have much HP, so you're probably gonna get one-shotted. Well, if you have this one, you get out of that CC almost immediately. As a mage, I love to use this one because, once again, me as a mage, I don't use Ice Block, right? And this one is basically, you know, if I'm about to get CC, or if I'm getting CC, I use this one, and that's it. It makes it all those 1v2s, 1v3s, and 1v1s just very easy, as long as you have this one on view. The healing one of the Stormform, for me, is the one that takes it all the way home. Now, let's go ahead and revisit the other ones. This one right here, the Unstable Form, right? This one is the one that you can explode at any given time as long as you have that Stormform, all right? The only drawback from this one is that the duration is reduced by 2 seconds, meaning that instead of lasting 5 seconds, it only lasts 3 seconds. So you have immunity for 3 seconds, and you can go ahead and explode this anytime in those 3 seconds for a little bit of extra burst. You can actually do 2000, 2500 damage with this explosion, right? So if you want to do like a little nasty combo, and you have that Stormform right there, not only to get away from the CCs, but you can also put in some damage. This one, it's okay, but I won't see it being used in many of the situations, given that it's only, you know, 2000, 2500 damage. It's like a basic attack or an ability for all the weapons. It can come in handy, but if you compare this one to this one will be better in every single situation, right? Because if you have if you're alive for longer time, that means that you can do that damage, right? And on top of that, it's just so much utility, boys. You have that healing that is so great, it's so tremendously good, and it also lasts all 5 seconds. And then the last one is this one right here. This one is the one that gives you all the way up to 40% damage reduction. This one, it's okay, right? This one is okay, especially if you're getting hit by a bunch of people, especially if you're a tank and you want to use this one to get that 40% damage reduction while you want to do some risky move. And I can see how this one works as well. The only thing about this one, it's like, let's say you're fighting the enemy and you use this thing, and the enemy is not attacking you now, or they're running away, and then the 5 seconds go by, it's basically wasted. As if with this one, you know, if you're like 40-50% HP and you use it, even if the enemy run away, you're gonna get all of your HP back. So this is why I'm saying this one takes, I know I've said this so many times, but it's just that this one, it's so much utility that it comes in handy on any situation. If you're winning, you use it. If you're losing, you use it, and it always going to do something good for you. All right, so that was the Stormform. The Stormform, like I said, anybody can use this because it's just a defensive tool, all right? It's not an offensive tool. It's just a defensive tool that everybody can use. Archers, assassin, mages, tanks, healer, anybody can use this. Now, if you were to be a healer, this is the one that I recommend the most. Forget about the rest. This is your #1 priority. This one is going to be the best one for you, especially with the recent nerfs to rapiers, right? This one is another defensive tool that you have in there for your playstyle. If you are a mage, also very, very, very strong for you. If you're an assassin, maybe you can go with some of the other ones that we're gonna cover in a bit. But for those classes that don't have a lot of mobility or that don't have a lot of survivability, this one is the one that is gonna come on top all the time. So healers, mages, and anybody that wants to use this one, it's okay. But the two classes that I recommended the most are for the healers and the mage class. The next one that we're going to talk about is going to be the Dark Ascent. Now, the Dark Ascent, it's by far the best looking one of every single one of them, right? You fly up to the sky with, you know, the Isabella's wing, and then you drop down on the ground like a superhero landing. You do a very nice amounts of damage, and you heal yourself for 100% of the damage that you do. Now, this one, okay, so this is what I feel about this one, all right? If you are somebody that is further from the enemy, this one is not going to be very useful. For example, if you're a mage and you're far from the enemy, you're not going to have any use for it over, all right? The only use that I see this one is whenever you're getting destroyed by enemies. So if you are a bruiser, this one is going to be very good for you. If you are a tank or an assassin that gets in there and sometimes gets surrounded by people, this one is going to be a very, very good one for you. In wars, you can utilize this one very well because you can, inside of a gravity well, you're about to die. You can go into the skies, being immune for like a second or two until you pop it, right? Come back down, and if there's a bunch of enemies below you, you're going to get healed by a lot. The one that I recommend out of the three ones for me, at least to get first, is going to be the Empower and Ascend. Because this one increases the damage of the Ascend by 150%. And the good thing about the Ascend is that the leashing is 100% of the damage that you do. Therefore, since this one deals 150% more damage, meaning that you're going to get healed yourself by a lot more. The only one that we have is gain 45 or 5 seconds, depending on how many enemies you hit, all the way up to 3 enemies for a grand total of 30% damage reduction for 5 seconds, which is also kind of good. And then we have the Crippling Ascend. Whenever you use this one, the enemy is slowed down for 4 seconds by 30%. Now, once again, the one thing that I see with this one is that you need to connect on the enemy. If you don't connect on the enemy, then it's pretty much wasted. You can use this both offensively and defensively. What am I saying that? Offensively, you can obviously use it, you're fighting the enemy, you're about to get hit by something, you fly into the sky, you land immediately, you stagger them, and you hit them. But if you're like if you're somebody with like a rapier or something, you can use this defensively, meaning that if you can use repose, right, before the repose ends, you can fly up to the sky. The moment you land, you can get back it up, and you can run away. So you can use it like that, right, to survive the enemy's attack, and on top of that, do a little bit of damage. But the main way that you will utilize this one, it's whenever you are in the middle of the clumps. If you're in the middle of the clumps and you're like 40, 30, 50% HP, you fly up to the sky, you come back down, you stagger the enemy, and you will heal yourself for an insane amount. If there's 3 or even 2 or 4 enemies near you and you use this one and you hit all of them, I guarantee you're gonna get all of your health back. Regardless how much health you have, you're gonna get it all back immediately, right? Well, obviously it depends. If they, like I said, if they dodge, they need to get hit by it. That is the thing. They need to get hit by it. If they don't get hit by it, then it's a wasted ability and you don't get anything. You just basically just using it on cooldown, and that's about it. So for a healer, I don't recommend this one. For a mage, not much. As an assassin, you could utilize it and do some nasty flashy move. But the one that the class that I recommend to use this one the most is probably going to be the bruisers, right? Whenever you're in the middle of everybody and you're getting beat by a bunch of people, the Stormform, you can utilize the Stormform as a bruiser, but it will take a little bit of wind up, right? Mending form, like I said earlier, you can use it and it will give you an increased amount of health tremendously, especially in wars, right? You use this bad boy on top of the point, and since there's gonna be a bunch of sacred grounds on the floor, you're going to get a bunch of healing. But this one will give you the healing back immediately, right? So you're back, you're in 30, you go up into the sky, you come back down, you land, boom, full HP. On top of that, you get yourself a nice healing and a nice stagger that you deal on the enemy if you are able to connect. Now, like I said, it's mostly for bruisers to use inside of the clumps. Whatever class you're playing, as long as you're in the middle of the clumps, right? You can play it. If you're a tank, if you are a bruiser, even if you're a guy with a rapier spear and you're in the middle of everybody, right? You will utilize this one. This one is not one ability that you will utilize on a 1v1, right? Because like I said, the more enemies that you hit, the better. And usually in a 1v1, the moment that you fly up to the sky, the enemy is probably going to do a back roll, right? Because it's very flashy, it's very obvious, unless you press the left click immediately, therefore coming down super quick. But the odds of you actually connecting on one single enemy that is constantly or actively fighting you is going to be a little bit hard. Although, whenever it connects, it feels very, very rewarding because the damage that it deals is actually a pretty significant amount of damage. And the leeching that comes with it is just very, very welcoming. So yeah, if you are a bruiser or if you're in the middle of the clumps of fighting people, then this one is a very good hard rune. because like I said, it gives you all of your HP back if you hit a bunch of people, and it deals also a pretty nice amounts of damage. The next one that we're going to be talking about is going to be the Grasping Vines. Now, the Grasping Vines on paper, it looks very, very strong because it summons the vines around you that deals 100% hard run damage and roots the enemy within 4-meter radius for 3 seconds. Now, this one, it's very strong, like I said, on paper, because if you read the things that it do, like for example, inflicts weaken on the successful hit, reducing the target's damage by 20% for 8 seconds. That right there, it's very strong. It is very, very strong just by using it, right? The enemy, boom, 20% less damage to you for 8 seconds. In this case, this one is a Rending Vine, the one that whenever you hit the enemy with the roots, they are, you know, they get that big rend, which is a 20% rend for 5 seconds, but your stamina regeneration is also reduced by 50% for the same duration. Meaning that if you use this one, it's basically to come in with a big burst, right? You wouldn't use this one as a defensive class. Like if you're a healer, or you're somebody that are trying to run away, or somebody that doesn't take a lot of damage, like a tank, or doesn't do a lot of damage, I wouldn't recommend this one as much. This one is mainly for those people that want to come in with a big burst, right? Like you have a blunderbuss, or you do like a gravity well, you jump in, you root the enemy, you go with a maelstrom or a shockwave, just basically securing those kills, rooting the enemy in place, and giving them that huge freaking rend, and usually finish them off. And yeah, like I said, the stamina regeneration is greatly reduced, but you wouldn't be running away. You will be doing basically a killing whenever you use this one. So this one right here is basically utilized for anybody that wants to go in and score a kill, or if you're fighting on a 1v1 and you find an opening, like I said, you know, you do like a gravity well, or you can do basically like a shockwave, or if you hit with a shockwave or a wrecking ball, right? You can go ahead and immediately pop these roots and then follow off the full CC chain. The only downside that I see with the Grasping Vine is that it's affected by freedom. Meaning that if the enemy has several freedoms on their gear, instead of rooting them for 3 seconds, sometimes it feels like you only root them for like 1 second. You put the root, boom, they're out of the root. The one thing is that this effect, they do still persist on them. Like for example, the Rend, it stays on them for 5 seconds, or the Enfeebling Vines that will still remain on the target for 8 seconds, right? This one right here, it's mainly used for the assassins, the people that have a big burst and that want to go in for the kill. As a defensive tool, I would not recommend this one. The other one right here, the Resilient Vines, it gives you 45 on activation, you know, increasing the damage absorption by 20%, but also reducing the damage that you do by 20%. If you are, you know, if you're playing a more defensive style, like let's say you're a healer, then you can run with this one, right? That way, if you're on top of a sacred ground, or if the enemy's even running after you, right, you can pop this one, get that damage reduction, root them in place, and on top of that, like I said, they will be doing less damage to you for 20% less damage for 8 seconds, meaning that if you have 3 people on you, right, and you use the Grasping Vines and you're on top of a sacred ground, or you have the Orb Protection buff on you, basically you're getting so many 45 vines, and the enemy is doing less than 20% less damage to you, meaning that you will feel very tanky after utilizing this Grasping Vine right here. So you can utilize this one for a defensive play style, right? You can utilize this one for an offensive play style, and then this one you can basically just throw it in the trash. All right, this one is completely useless. I have trying to put my head around this one right here. How can I utilize this one and I still cannot find a good place? Why? Because it leads 20% of the damage done to rooted targets. Like I said earlier, the rooted targets is affected by freedom. So you need to use the root, and the moment that you use the root, you need to hit them with something, and it's only 20% of the damage that you do to them. It's not even 100% of the damage that you do to them. So even if you're rooted, even if you root the enemy, you turn around, you hit them for 1,000, 2,000, you're only gonna get healed for 20% of that damage, and it's just not good, right? It's just not good. I don't see how this one has any use. If it was, like I said, if that Leashing Vine was way higher, because the problem is that the enemy is rooted for so little time that you have a very little window for you to be able to damage to them, and it's almost irrelevant. I'd rather that you get this one right here that gives you 20% damage reduction for 5 seconds, Or you get this one right here, that the enemy received 20% extra damage for 5 seconds, meaning that you can secure a kill with this one. You can secure a escape with this one. With this one, you're just wasting time. Don't utilize this one. Don't even think about it. This one right here is very useless. Now, who can use this one? Well, like I said, if you are somebody that wants to go for a kill, you can utilize this one. For PvE, you can utilize this one, right? You put this Ren on top of a big old clump, and that way your teammates can do more damage. If you're in a war and there is a big fat gravity well and you come in with this rending, that means that every single one of the enemies in that area is going to receive more damage, right? So this one is a very good clump utility ability, right? You go into the biggest clump that you can possibly find, you use this bad boy, and they all die. Right, this one you use it the same way, but just as a survival tool. I don't recommend using this one too much for PvE, because this one will be way better. But like I said, this one is more of like a defensive utility for like a small scale, not too much of a large scale, right? This one, it takes it all the way home as the favorite one that I have. And to show you guys how it looks, you use you know, pop those roots right there. It's a very quick, very fast. The enemy gets rooted and they get that debuff, or you get the buff for the duration. And if you're a bruiser, you can utilize this one. If you're an assassin, you can utilize this one. If you are a tank, you can utilize this one. If you're a healer trying to survive or run away, you can utilize this one. Even as an archer, right? If somebody's near you and you want to hit them with an explosive arrow, like a combination of basic attack, pen shot, or you're trying to run away, you can just go ahead, root them, continue going, turn around, shoot at them, no problem whatsoever. The next one we're going to talk about is going to be the Detonate. Now, this one seems to be everybody's favorite. And I think the reason everybody's using this one lately is just because it's very rewarding, right? You use this thing, 3 seconds later, you go kabooms and you deal, you know, this is crazy amount of damage, you know, anywhere from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 damage. And in PvE, this thing is also freaking ridiculous, right? I was doing in any expedition the other day, I was doing up to 11, 12,000 damage to everybody in a clump with this bad boy. Now, the one thing to take in consideration is that you remember, all of these runes, they get empowered by whatever is happening to your player. For an instance, like I said, if you were using the healing Stormform and you're on top of a sacred ground, the healing of the Stormform is greatly increased. Now, if you are going to use the Detonate and you are on top of an Oblivion, well, you guessed it, right? The explosion of the Detonate is going to be empowered by that Oblivion, meaning that that explosion is going to have an extra 15%. Meaning that if you have like Kingly Empower or something on top of you, all of those things add up to the damage of your runes. That applies to every single one of your runes. Now, let's go back into the rune. So this one right here, the Detonate, you charge yourself for 3 seconds, you get movement speed, and then at the end of the 3 seconds, it explodes, it goes kabooms, and it deals a bunch of damage. Who can use this one? Well, whoever wants to use this one, you can use it, right? Like, hey, listen, you just want to do a bunch of damage, you just go ahead and do a bunch of damage. The good thing about the runes as well is that they have their own flat damage, meaning, as you can see, the Detonate has 4,300 and 59 for me, right? I have, as you guys can see down there, I have no strength, dex, or intelligence. And regardless of what type of armor are you wearing, it's always going to do the same damage. Meaning that if you're heavy, you're going to do the 4,300. If you are light, you're going to do 4,300. If you have 500 intelligence, you're going to do 4,300. If you have 500 constitution, well, hey, you guessed it, you're going to do 4,300. So regardless of what type of armor you have or what type of loadout you have, you're always going to apply the same amount of
cancel
damage.
the other
Now,
two
that
RVs
damage
for
is
the 20s,
also
the 20
affected by the
MSCs,
enemy's
and keep the
protection,
third one, see if you
right?
can
Depending
modify it
what
for
type of
later. If you
what type
can't
of
modify
armor
it,
the
just
enemy
cancel
has,
all the 20s for
it
now.
will do the least amount of damage, which is kind of like unfair because, you know, if a guy with heavy armor uses this against a guy in light armor, the guy in light armor will probably just boop and disappear like a popcorn or something like that, right? But if a light armor were to use this detonate rune against a guy in full-on heavy armor, then that will probably won't do as much damage, right? But we all know that this is going to be a heavy melee meta, so just start getting used to it. But anyways, jumping back into this rune, the detonate rune, right? Who can use this one? Like I said, everybody can use it, but there are a couple of classes that overshine with this one, and those are the assassins. If you're an assassin, this one is the one that you should be aiming for primarily. Why do I say that? Because, well, assassins usually don't just assassinate somebody, boom, dead, right? Usually assassin, it takes a little bit of a you know, like a setup, right? If you're using Sword and Shield Hatchet, you usually want to come in with a leap, bait the dodges, hit them with a shield rush, shield badge, switch to the hatchet, turn around, use your berserk, feral rush, and, you know, proceed to finish the enemy with a light attack if they were not dead by then. But this is where this rune will come in handy. Let's say that you already know that you're going to CC the target, you pop this rune, and within the next 3 seconds you do your CC combination, and it will be brutal. You can absolutely kill somebody. The same thing if you're a spear user, right? If you come into a target and you connected that leg sweep, you can immediately pop this rune. So you connect the leg sweep, and while this rune is charging, you hit them with a Volt Kick, Javelin, and by the time that they're rolling on the floor, right, you're gonna hit them, the enemy's gonna have a nasty rend on them, and on top of that, you're gonna hit them with a big explosion. If you are using Blunderbuss and you have the blast shot, the same thing, right? You activate this thing, you hit them with a blast shot, and before they're able to get up, dead. I was actually killing a couple of people today just like that. I was using the blast shot on the healer in combination with this detonate rune, and it was blast shot, ruffle, where basic attack, detonate, boom, they were immediately dead. No salvation for these people. Now, out of the 3 over here, 2 of them are very powerful. The one that it will deal the most amount of damage is going to be this one right here, the escalating explosion, right? This one will increase the damage by 30%, meaning that it's 30% of 4,300, right? I'm not going to do math, but you guys do that on your own time. It's a lot of damage, boys. It's an insane a lot of damage. The only drawback of this is that you will be receiving 15% more damage while charging this rune. But that is what I was saying, that this one is better utilized if you were to be an assassin, because whenever you're an assassin, you're doing assassin sneaky things, right? You're doing your CC setup, you are coming from behind the enemy, they never expected. So most of the times, you know, you can activate this one, and whenever there's 1 second left, you can come in with a Sword and Shield leap and literally connect the leap at the same time that this bad boy goes off. And we all know that the leap can hit anywhere from, you know, 2,000, 3,000 easily, right? So you hit somebody with a leap, 3,000, and then this thing goes off, right? 7,000, 8,000 damage, and it's an immediate kill literally with just 1 leap on the enemy. This one is very powerful, especially when used as an assassin. Now, you can, like I said, you can use it as any other class, but assassins are the ones that shine with this one. If you are doing PvE, this one is also extremely powerful. This one is the one that will do the most damage out of any other rune. This one right here. So if you guys want to clear a dungeon as fast as you possibly can, this is gonna be the one. Even as a healer myself, like I said earlier, I was running this in a mutation, and whenever I had it off a cooldown, right, whenever it was ready to go, I will pop it, run into the clumps, put an Oblivion down on the floor, and it will go boom, 11,000 damage to every single one of the mobs around me, and that helps the team tremendously. It really do. Now, the other one that I want to talk about is going to be right here, the Leeching Explosion. It heals for 50% of the damage that you do, but the explosion damage is reduced by 30%. Now, this one, it could be utilized by the other roles, right? This one is a lot of damage, is primarily used as an assassin, but this one, if you are a bruiser or if you're surrounded by a lot of people and you pop this one off, right, you will hit those enemies that are around you. You will do a very nice amount of damage, way more than the Dark Ascent. The only good thing about the Dark Ascent, right, is that you are up in the sky and you're not receiving damage, and then you come down to the ground, you will stagger the enemy, you will heal yourself for a crazy amount, right, but you won't do as much damage. In the other hand, this one would do a lot of damage, but it will heal you a little less. But still, if you hit 3 enemies or plus, you can forget about your HP. It's gonna go all the way back at full, because it will still hit the enemy for somewhere like around 3,000 damage. And like I said, you know, if you have like 3-4 enemies around you, that's gonna be a lot of healing. So yes, this one is not too much for the assassin playstyle. This one is more for the bruiser that is in the middle of the clumps of the other players. Now, the last one I want to talk about is going to be this one right here, the Empowering Charge. Now, this one is good because it increases your damage by 15% while you have it active, right, for those 3 seconds. Meaning that if you're a class that you have a lot of bursts, and I mean by a lot of bursts, like a Gravity Well, Shockwave, Maelstrom kind of thing, right? All of those things are going to be doing 15% increase more damage, which at the end of the road, it will be more damage than if you were to hit with the Detonate. The only drawback is that you need to do the damage, right? If you activate this rune and you spend those 3 seconds and you don't do any damage with your own abilities and weapons, then you're basically wasting the potential of this rune, because the explosion damage is reduced by 20%, right? So you're not doing the full damage with the explosion, you're not getting the full benefit of it, you know, getting those 15% increased damage. So that's why this one is a little bit more complicated than the other two. This one, you use it, it explodes, it heals you up. This one, you use it, explodes, it deals a shantillions amounts of damage. You receive a little bit more damage, but that is why I recommend it for an assassin. And then this one, you can use it really whatever class you are, if you want to do a little bit more damage with your own weapons and abilities. But like I said, unless you are very efficient on whenever you activate this and you use some abilities, then it's not going to be as good as the other two. So going back to which one is my favorite out of the 3, I will have to say that it's going to be the Escalating Explosion, right? Just because there are so many CC chains in the game that you can synergize this room so very well. Think of it, for example, the Warhammer, right? The Warhammer is a CC machine, right? You hit an enemy with a melee, right, which is Wrecking Ball. You hit an enemy with a Wrecking Ball, and if that Wrecking Ball connected, you can go ahead and pop this one, right? You pop this thing, and you use a Shockwave, apply the Ren on the enemy, and if the enemy doesn't have freedom, you can charge a heavy attack, and by the time the heavy attack goes off, this thing will also go off. If you're not doing the heavy attack, because it seems like a lot of players lately have been running Freedom, so that is not the most efficient combo to do anymore, you either go Wrecking Ball, Shockwave, Armor Breaker, and by the time the Armor Breaker goes off, this room will also go off, probably securing all those skills. Like if you're able to connect with a melee, Shockwave, then this room will go off together with the Armor Breaker, and it's devastating. 100% you're gonna kill somebody. Or you can do it with the other combo, which is, you know, Wrecking Ball / melee, right? Wrecking Ball, you do Shockwave, you do Cleared Out, and the enemy is gonna be on the floor, and by the time the enemy is on the floor, then this rune is gonna pop off, and then you can send another light attack in there for a full combination of, maybe you can do like, dude, like 13,000-14,000 damage, killing anybody that you want, right? If you hit somebody with Wrecking Ball, you pop this bad boy. So in those 3 seconds, you're gonna hit him with a Shockwave, Cleared Out, and the moment that you hit him with a Cleared Out, make sure to not have the perk for the Cleared Out. If you have the perk on the Cleared Out, it's wasted, all right? Don't do perk of the Cleared Out. It's better to not use the perk. So yeah, Wrecking Ball, Detonate, right? While it's charging those 3 seconds, you're gonna hit him with a Shockwave, you're gonna hit him with a Cleared Out, you're gonna come in with 1 light attack, and this thing is gonna explode together with a light attack, 100% securing a kill. But yeah, that does it for the Detonates, and now let's go ahead and move to the last one. And the last one we're going to be talking about is going to be the Cannon Blast. Now, the Cannon Blast, when I was playing with it in the PTR, I was like, it's alright, you know, I just cannot theory craft a lot of things with this one. But the more that I play with it, especially in the live version, I actually started to have a blast with it, like a literal blast with the cannon blast. It's just such a fun ability to use because it comes out actually very quickly. You will think that the cannon will take a little bit longer, but no, you use the ability, it immediately comes out. That cannonball, it goes zooming, right? That cannonball goes by so fast. I think it's like even faster than arrow, if not the same speed that the arrow. So the cannon blast, it's actually super fun ability to use. And but let's go ahead and jump into this cannon blast to see what they do. All right, so summon a cannon that fires a powerful long range attack that deals 100% rune damage. By the way, yes, this one has the longest range out of all the other ones. All the other ones are pretty much melee, right? Like this is melee, and this is melee, right? So the cannon blast, you put it on and you press the ability, immediately goes out, you deal damage. The first one that we have right here is the penetrating blast. That is the one that goes right through every single one of the enemies, essentially just like a pen shot, right? So that is what this cannon blast will do. So if there's a bunch of enemies, but they are a little bit spread from each other and there's enemies behind there, right? You can use this one. It will go right through every single one of those enemies, and it will also apply that 10% burn that you see down there. So that is the one by the cannon blast do by default, right? It's going to be that 10% burn that whenever you hit an enemy, it lasts 5 seconds on them. So since the rune damage for 3600, that 10%, it's about 360, right? And it takes for 5 seconds, meaning that it pulls up an extra 1500 damage. Now, all of these runes can crit, by the way, boys. All of these runes, they have a 10% critical chance by default. Now, that 10% critical chance it does not get affected probably by keying on the weapon or by the ring, although I am not super sure about that detail. It's just that I use it so many times, having keen on the weapon and having keen on the ring, and I didn't see a crit that often. So probably the crit chance for the runes, it's its own crit chance. But once again, don't quote me on that one. If anybody has done the testing, please let me know in the comment below. That way we all educate each other, right? And we help each other. But anyways, going back at it again. So this penetrating cannon shot, it will go through every single one of the enemies. And the good thing about it is if you hit more than one enemy as it goes through, it will apply the burn to all of the enemies that it hit through. For an instance, right here, I'm going to show you. We're going to hit both targets, and as you can see, both targets got the burn right there, which is actually quite nice, meaning that it's not the first target that you hit, it's all of the targets that you hit. Now, the cannon shot, the good thing that it has is that it has the most block stamina damage out of all of the runes. So if a guy is blocking with a shield and you use the cannon blast, this one is the one that is going to do the most amount of shield damage. If a person is playing with like a light shield, right, like a round shield, you're probably going to destroy it in one shot. If they're playing with a heavy shield, the tower shield, probably you're not going to do much damage. But still, just have that in mind that this is the one that it deals a lot of damage to the stamina. The other ones don't come close to that. As you can see over here, the Dark Ascent, it's 80%. The Detonate, it's 70%. This one is only 50%, and Divine is 30%, dealing the least amount of stamina damage. But the Cannon Blast right here, right? This one, it will destroy shields. Now, who can utilize this? Well, pretty much anybody, really. Anybody can utilize this. But the ones that it feels like it plays the best with is for those classes that have some sort of burst but don't have a way to chase down the enemy to finish them off, right? Like if you're an archer and an enemy is running away with 10% HP, you keep on shooting at them, probably securing the kill. You wouldn't even want to waste using the cannon shot. I mean, you could use it, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but what I'm saying is that your basic attacks with a bow or like a pen shot, right, will do pretty much around the same amount of damage. And if the enemy is below 50%, 30%, the bow deals
Alright, everyone ready? You eat your food? You guys eat your food?
Let's get it.
It's a pretty good one.
Let's bring that archer up here.
Yep. Next
There's
one.
another archer back there.
Out.
Probably want to take care of him first. Those archers up the stairs now.
I'm out of last one. There's 2 archers in there. Got people smacking in the face. We don't need the seals. They do nothing.
My loot bag.
Oh yeah.
The precious
Gotta get
loot
that
bag. Ew.
Can you guys hear me?
I can now.
Wow, bro. I was freaking talking to myself this entire time. I didn't realize I had myself muted.
I think we do have to go right this time, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. Is there even a name boss up there?
There is a name boss somewhere else, like on the other corner. And we have to get the freaking ores too. They
Blue.
count.
Yeah, there's flour over there, I think.
Yeah, I grabbed the flower.
Well, I didn't know the flower counted too. I thought it was just the ores.
Oh yeah. It's all worth 4 times.
Hold up. Bag.
This will give us the extra 20 people though.
Yeah, we gotta kill just regular
Oh, wait,
enemies.
bring some archers.
You wanna just take him down there? Yeah.
Yeah, take him to the doggies. You hit me, you little bird bitch. Want to get that? Let's get it.
Yeah, support's down here, guys.
These things are easy as fuck to kill.
Swordberg?
That's it, huh? There's only one named.
The other ones
I
just
think
they're
it's
all-
the other area too, right? The other side? Or is that
Oh,
further
yeah,
down?
Right, huh? Yeah, to the right here.
And there's one down to the right as well.
You got fire, dude. Out of the fire. I'm gonna work out. I'm just not gonna mind that. Got some boots.
Damn, only 2 named enemies killed? The fuck?
I think we only needed 2, right? And we just did on the same route as last time.
Is there not named enemies here?
Yeah, that's
Right
right
here.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
yeah.
yeah, let's kill him.
Oh, this guy. Shit.
You can just
wait.
pull it
And
back
then we
if you
just
don't want to
wanted
kill the whole
to-
room.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, we did kill him last time.
Oh, there's an Ori
Yeah, we
over
did.
there as well.
Yeah, we might as well.
We gotta just get them all now.
Yeah, we'll just do all. The name guys.
Oh, rip.
Sorry, just pull the boss up a little bit. Just get out of the fire.
I was enjoying the
More
burn.
fire.
You can get a res whoever's down there.
I'm gonna pull him down here. There's sound like that's weird shit. Okay.
I know where to go.
Fuck fire hurt.
Fire.
Shit. I should have switched to my bow over there. that's just circling around. Let's go this way.
This route is pretty scuffed, I will say.
Yeah, we got the numbers we needed though. So.
Yeah, yeah. These guys should come in.
Oh my god, the fire.
They were. They double killed you too.
You talking to us?
Damn, this shit hurts so much.
Yeah, I think we just need a stinger in whenever it fires out, just in case. That and us.
Get down, you big beetle!
Finish your fight if you can.
Shoot her! Shoot her! King Kong's dung beetle shall be no more.
Damn, I'm over here coughing up a storm.
We don't need to kill those.
There's nothing up there.
Isn't there a named up there or no?
I don't
No,
think
it's
so.
not.
Just 3 mobs. It's
It's
just,
just yeah, it's just 3 dudes.
We just gotta make sure we kill those 80 mobs and we should be alright.
I'm gonna take care of the archers right now or no?
Yeah, just get him to the archer right now, no?
Go up here, right?
Okay, yeah.
Up in the corner. Just taunting him. Got the turrets here.
There's a named over here. We gotta kill.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's something missed as well.
Pull them all down around the corner here. Right here.
I mean, we could probably just take them all, to be honest.
These might de-aggro back.
There's another named boss at the highest point up here if you want to get it.
Yeah, we have to, no?
We're good, we're good. We don't have to
We're
get
good?
12.
Okay.
Unless I'm fucking choking, I'm pretty sure
We
we're
have to
good.
get 10 before the last.
We were 2 short last time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we did 2 extra this time, so we should be solid.
Yeah, so we
Roger.
have 8 here.
There's 8, then 9, 10,
Unless I'm fucking up.
11. I think we need that. Because this is 8.
We need
Um,
12. We need 12.
Yeah, so this is 8, and then
But
there's...
2 was the last boss.
So that's 9, 10, and then there's one at the stairs, which is 11. So we need that one back there, no?
Didn't we already
we
kill
should
that guy?
I don't know.
Or is there another one?
Yeah, there should always just be equal number. I don't think there's a surplus of named bosses. there's an ore here too.
These archers too. Throwing guns. Should be good on time still.
Yeah.
Let's kill this guy before we go into the boss. Sometimes he glitches in and becomes invulnerable.
Kill who?
Oh man, that happened to me. Alligator. Vulnerable. Invincible fucking alligator, that was the worst.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, he actually caused a wipe too.
Oh, shiza.
Let's try and get ads first so they don't run to the healer.
Down.
Tank, you can just grab the 2 mobs and we'll just focus this guy.
Grab both of them.
More power. More power. Come on. Come on. Kill me, I'm here.
Let's go, boys. Quick, 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 quick. We're playing with time here.
Twist ancient.
Boogie.
Let's get that archer first,
any more mobs, yeah.
Somebody's over here. Call your pillars real quick.
I got bottom right, the one's closest to the right.
I'm taking bottom left.
This one is mine.
Alright, let's get it.
Just keep him here. Keep him at the top left so he just runs into this pillar.
Burn them off the fire.
Come on over here.
I'll bring it towards the mid. Nice, doesn't want to move.
We have 2 range over
Towers. Pillars. You can roll through it.
Tell me I didn't miss that.
Just took over for a second.
Yeah, we focus the same guy so we get his pillar out of the way.
Get down. Come here.
Get at the pillars, I'll DPS him. Pillars. Alright, focus arrow. Kill them all. GG boys.
Good job, boys. Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
Switch to your luck here, boys.
That's funny. If you skip, you can actually see your character like running around.
Oh yeah. That goes to show you gear score don't mean shit, huh?
Damn, you guys are rookies, man. You guys didn't bring your luck here.
Fuck! I forgot to put that on.
Rookies.
I got it. I got to fail eat. That's all that matters.
Oh boy, that's one.
How do I get this?